Okay. So yeah, so why don't we just start with like order of faces on the screen. So maybe Christina, just tell us a little bit about your work, your business, where you are. We'll start with that.
Well, I'm in High River. I am a massage therapist, but I specialize in myofascial work and energy work. So I work out of my house. This is my home office that I'm in right now. Yeah, so I work out of my house. Yeah. I don't know how much you want me to share, but yeah. So again, I'm a massage therapist, but I don't do traditional.
Right. When I met you through, like when I first kind of started seeing you at the hub, was there like is breath work a part of what you do?
Yeah, I do lots of breath work. So the breath work that I do is functional breathing. So functional as in your body, in your anatomy, functional anatomy type instruction, and then regulation of your nervous system through that functional breathing. Cool. So the way that I teach it would be, how I teach people would be the foundations for any other breath work you want to do, because there's so many different kinds out there. And I don't think people personally should just jump into like Wim Hof or biodynamic or like any of those, like without having some kind of foundation first, because it can really set you off if you just start doing those because they're very intense.
Yes, I had my first like breathwork intensive earlier in the winter, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've done little, breathing through yoga, and I was not prepared. It was intense. It was intense, but it was very cool. But maybe I should have visited you first.
Yeah. So I like to give a little bit of education to everybody so they have a starting point as to what they should be doing. And I have an online course. Well, I was teaching it, and then since the last couple of years, I just have an online course right now, is basically everything and a little bit more that I was teaching that I offered.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for that introduction. Awesome. Julie, what about you?
Okay. I guess I have to explain what I used to be in order to explain where I'm going. I used to be a speech language pathologist. I don't even have my designation anymore, because I gave that up. They wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do, which was the mindfulness, cognitive therapy, like that type of thing. But I do it as a life coach now. So basically, a lot of my clients have some medical issues of some sort that are stress related. So I help them deal with their anxiety in a more functional way and help them just with that I don't know, just I'm finding more and more people are being a little bit more diverse now that are coming across my plate. But yeah, just lots of anxiety and stress out there, and not anybody with any coping mechanism of any sort. So I'm diving into that, but I have lots of other things under my belt too.
As many things do. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Dana.
I'm really excited to hear everyone's stories here because you're right. We do have a lot in common. Yeah. I need to talk to everyone here. I am launching a big venture as of October. I am creating an online community space for those who live with chronic pain. So we deal a lot with multi-aspects. So we're really trying to create a space that has a little bit of a success path, which I know is difficult to do because every pain story is unique, but we're trying to at least set the foundations for a little bit of more of the self-care management. So I really want to teach them how to move or work with the medications, maybe even beyond the medications. We do more of a holistic approach. So we do the whole biopsychosocial model of chronic pain. And then I'll teach them about what pain means, where it comes from, and then we'll do the nutrition side of things. We will do the whatever we can. And it's basically a space to ask questions that you cannot ask your doctor. So we're going to talk about everything from communications to relationships to sexual health to you name it. It's a hub for those who live with chronic pain. So anxiety and depression as well. I'll probably need some help with that. So, if anyone's looking for some space to work with those who live with chronic pain, we should chat. So anyway, Thank you. Sorry, my name is Dina. I didn't tell you that. And I live in Oakville, Ontario.
Awesome.
There you go.
Oh yeah. And Julie, where are you right now?
Well, I'm in Carlisle, Saskatchewan. So my parents live at a lake. And so that's where I am right now. But I'm from Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, originally. So about 8 hours north.
Awesome.
We have 3 provinces so far. How exciting. Okay. And Amanda's here. Hey, Amanda.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I got
Good.
distracted.
That's okay. I was putting everyone on a little bit of a hot seat to share a little bit about what they do, just so that you guys could also like interconnect before I go off. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. Being a financial coach. So everything from insurance to investing, I'm all about helping families focus on creating a plan, having a plan, and making sure that they are comfortable with that plan and it matches what their goals are. So
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. Well, I guess because you all did that, I'll just give you my elevator spiel also. So I'm Diane. You all know that. I, over the last year, founded GUTS, which is Evolving Student Athlete Nutrition. So I help student athletes eat better, feel better, play with less injuries, less pain, and basically achieve the goals that they have in sport and life. So that is what I'm doing. But the reason that you're all here, and I appreciate your like being open to the conversation, but when I recently stepped out of social media, which is something I never thought that I would do, because that's always been the space where I felt that I could market my work and my business. And over the last probably like 4 or 5 months, I really was just feeling icky on particularly Facebook and Instagram. Every time I pulled it up, I was just inundated with ads. I was inundated with videos, which I have no interest in doing. And so I always felt like, how am I supposed to keep up? What am like just in this like headspace of lack because of what I was seeing, and just really not interested. You know, like I would go on there because I feel like I should, or I felt like I had to, and I didn't care, and it wasn't exciting, and it wasn't doing anything for me. And so I kind of got to this point where I was like, why are you spending time here? And I know that the reason that I was able to do that, to feel comfortable pulling out of that space, was because I found success elsewhere, which was on LinkedIn, which I think is what I shared a little bit with you. So through this call, I wanted to kind of give you the backstory, make you think a little bit about your business, and then give you some insights into things that you could do that could possibly help you in whatever it is that you're doing to market your work. So that's kind of where we're going. I'm not awesome at checking the chat, but I just opened it. So if you have a comment or something you want to ask, like feel free to interrupt me, but also you can put it in the chat and I will try to watch it. And if I don't get it in the call, I will go back to it after and connect with you. Yeah, anything else? Like I said, I'm also recording this. So after the fact, I'll be sending it to some people that weren't able to join us live, but I have an agenda, but please, if you have questions or something, like just interject. So I want to paint a little bit of a story here for you so you can understand what's been going on for me, and maybe this will resonate with some of you also. I started my entrepreneur work about 12 years ago, sort of by accident. I left my teaching job because I was super sick and it wasn't serving me in the life that I wanted to live. And I took a holistic nutrition training, and then they wanted to know if I was going to go back to teaching. And I was like, well, that doesn't feel right. So no. And then I had surgery, and then I got pregnant, and then I was a mom, and I was like, well, being a mom I'm not going to work a full-time job. So my work for a long time was very part-time, and I just kind of took in people that showed up. So it wasn't like a bustling business by any means. the last couple of years, I've sort of put my head down more to the ground because my kids are in school, and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to make a go of this and not go back to my teaching job, which I left for a reason, then I have to figure this out. So I really like opened the door of the entrepreneurial world with no plan, no knowing of anything of what I was doing other than I knew I could help people. And I think that's where most of us start, is like we have this calling or this passion, or we've learned something. We're like, people need this message and I can give it to them and I can help people. And I think that's what a lot of us really want to do. So anyway, fast forward to last winter. Last winter was by far the hardest, most scary time I've ever had in my life with business and finance and work. And through 2020 and 2021, I invested a lot in myself, in my personal development and in my business development, because I knew that something was missing. A lot of what I did was along the energetics, like the abundance, like the mindset that I needed to have so that I could grow the vision of my business, of what I really wanted it to be. And that was awesome. But as I was going through this period in this last winter, being like, I'm doing all the things that I learned and something isn't working. Like there's still this piece. And like initially I did the mindset, right? I changed a bunch of things, had this vision grow, and like a bunch of clients came in and it was really fun and I got paid and I was excited. And then they finished their program with me and then there weren't any more. And I was spending so much of my time waiting. So I was waiting and I was hoping, and I had this belief in like the things that I knew that I could do and the energy of it all. And if I just keep doing this, they're going to show up. And they didn't. I had a bunch of times where I would come up with this idea for this great program or this service that I wanted to offer, and I would get all excited about it and I would launch it and no one would show up. And it was just so defeating and so depleting. And I was really getting frustrated and really starting to doubt like what I had to offer and the value that I had to offer. And then no matter how much I was like, but if I just keep working on my energy and I just keep putting it out there and I just keep doing, like, I got to a point where I was just like, it's all important. I believe that 100%, but there was something else. So it even got to the point in the winter where I started having some health stuff pop up. I knew it was related to stress and pressure that I was feeling. But again, I was just staring at a blank screen every day going like, I don't know what else to do. Like, what do I do? So there was, in the midst of all of this, right, the bills are piling up, the debt is piling up, and I'm just like, what the F? Like, I don't know what else I can do. It got to be like into the fall, or no, like more into the winter around Christmas. And I found that I was like dipping my toe in a lot of different things. So I would go hard for a little bit with the Facebook and try to do some ads. And then I would dip my toe in over here on Instagram and try to build that, get more followers. And then I'd spend time on my website, and I was doing so many different things. I was looking at funnels and networking groups and trying to be on podcasts, and like, I can't even, there's so much, right? There's so much out there that we can do. I was doing all of it and none of it because I was just spread so thin and feeling defeated every time it didn't work, and it never worked. I didn't get the result that I wanted, which was people knocking at my door going, oh, I really want to talk to you. So it got to be around March, which was my birthday. And we canceled my birthday plans because we couldn't afford to go out, which was like the worst feeling. My brother called me to say, hey, Di, happy birthday. And I just lost it. Like I just bawled. I couldn't talk. I was crying so hard. And he's just like, what is going on? Luckily, he's always been someone that I could confide in. And so he was the first person that I talked to about how much struggle I was having in my business and the challenges we were having as a family because of it. And he was so awesome. He just he listened. And then he just said to me, he's like, Di, he's like, you remember before when we talked about LinkedIn? And we had talked about LinkedIn before, and I dabbled and I was like, didn't really feel like it worked, didn't really get it, didn't understand, didn't get a lot out. So I'd like, again, dip the toe in and then I was out again, right? So he's like, he's like, try LinkedIn one more time, but this time be consistent and use a strategy. And I'll tell you right now, the word strategy for me has been like a just trigger central, because I'm very like I'm flowy, like I pop in and out of stuff, and I like to do lots of things at once, and I like freedom. I don't want to feel restricted. And the word strategy for me felt like a big, huge box that I had to fit inside. And I was like, I don't like that at all. Super restrictive, super limiting, no creativity. So I was like, ugh, ugh. But at that point, I was just like, you have no other option at this point, Diane. So I think one of the other things that made this all so hard was that I was at the point where I was like, you either have to figure this out or you have to go back to your job. You have to go back to teaching. And I think like all of us that kind of step into this space of doing this work, we have a calling, like we have in our gut and in our heart and our soul, we're like, I can help people and I'm supposed to help people. And this is what I'm here for. This is my purpose. And it was at this point where I was just like, I either figure this out or I have to lie to myself and go back to my job. And it was literally just breaking my heart. And when I think about that conversation now with my brother, I know that that's part of what I was going through, was just this, like, it was like I was being torn apart. Like, I have to go back to this because I have to do the things, but it's not my truth. So anyway, I share all this with you just so you can understand that this was like, it started around Christmas, but this conversation with my brother happened on my birthday, which is the 13th of March. And I decided at that point in time, basically because I was like at the bottom, that I had to do something different. I had to change. And I've done lots of changing over the years, as many of you also probably have, right? We do the work and then we share the work with the people that come to us, right? We know we have gone through these things, which is often why we decide that others will benefit from them too. So I have changed a lot, and yet I had really resisted changing this one thing. And so I sort of, and it's funny because in my coaching, when I'm talking to people about nutrition and things, we often talk about these things that we resist are like a portal that we get to step through. It's not actually as hard as we think it is. And the change that we want is actually right there. Like, it's like right on the other side of the portal or the gateway, but we, for whatever reason, have a block and we just will not go through it. So for me, this is what that was, this clarity, this strategy, I was just like, nope, don't like it. And that's where I had to shift. So I made this decision, right? That I was going to change because I was done feeling so shitty about work and money. And because I realized that even though I thought I was building this great business, it wasn't. And I just had to admit that it wasn't enough to sustain me and my family. It wasn't enough to pay the bills. It wasn't enough to like give me the freedom that I wanted, that I actually started doing this work to create. And I didn't even know how it could grow. So it's like, at some point when it's super successful and I can't give any more of myself, how does it evolve? And so I really had to look at all of that. And that's what I did. So like I said, I don't tell you any of this so you feel, oh, woe is Diane, they were really struggling financially, but just to understand, like, it is now August and everything has changed. Everything. And it was this like admittance to myself of like, this is not working and you have to do something different. And it has to be something you've never done before. So to give you a bit of a picture, this is my brother who I listen to, and he in 2 years has built a multiple 6-figure income on LinkedIn only. He hasn't paid for ads. He hasn't paid for marketing. He's done it all through content and strategy on LinkedIn. And so I guess, when you kind of gravitate to, or I do anyway, the people that are like one step ahead of you. And he said that to me. He's like, Daddy, I only did this 2 years ago. I'm only one step ahead of you. And this is what I did. So this is what I did. And everything has changed. So now, before I go any more into that, kind of have shown you like, this is where we were and now things are much different and I'm in a much different place in my business, which is yay. But I want you to answer a few questions to get you thinking about your business. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen here with you for a second. And these were of full like honesty here. When I was asked these questions, I didn't know the answer to them. What is missing here on my screen? There we go. And we're going here. Nope, not there. And we're going here. Can you guys see this? Yes, can you see it? Okay, thanks, Amanda. Okay, so this is, I'll give you a couple minutes. I want you to write this down, okay? What is your inbound client strategy? Basically, how do you get clients? I actually had to ask what that meant. I was like, what do you mean inbound client strategy? What does that mean? How do you get
Thank
clients?
you. I was thinking the same thing.
I was just going to ask the same question.
Exact. Okay, so I want you to remember that, like, let that land.
Okay.
Yeah. And for me, my strategy, if I was honest, I was like, well, I'm hoping and I'm waiting. That was my inbound client strategy. Honestly. Okay. If I am going too fast through these, just say stop and I will stop. Okay, what's your niche? Try and nail that out in one sentence. Who do you help? And then the next one would be, what problem do you solve? And notice that that's singular, one problem. And then what program or product do you sell? When I answered this one, I was like, well, and the word sell really got me. Really got me. What do you mean selling? Like, I'm like, yeah. And how many steps are there in your sales process? Julie, I just saw your eyes. Okay, but so like if these The reason I put these questions on here is because I couldn't answer them. And if I was, and once I started, it took me a really long time. And I'm like, well, I don't, and my first, well, I don't really have a sales process. But I do now.
I will say I've worked so hard on figuring out the problems that I solve so that it's not like a run-on sentence.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every woman probably in this group, like we have multiple layers to us, but focusing in on what is that problem that we solve. And I like niche is a trigger word for me.
Me too.
Because I feel like I'm unnicheable.
I totally resonate with that.
Yeah. So getting towards like, so if you underlying or under that, which is the problem, like that I can answer, but the niche changes per client, per program, per, you know.
Mm-hmm. What I found, because I had the exact same problem, I could help all of them.
Yeah.
But it created so much more work for me because every time I was creating something new to help them. Like I have all the information, but it was always a creation then every single time of they need this, so I create this, and they need this, so I create. And now I use the exact same process, individualized for every person. I create it once and I evolve it as they need every single time. But I had to nail it. Like I had to come to a point where like, no, this is the person that I'm talking to. One lady that I listened to, and I'm going to steal this from her fully, talked about if you can visualize a little backyard kiddie pool full of yellow rubber duckies. Like you can't even see the water. It's full of yellow rubber duckies. Kind of cute, right? Little rubber duckies everywhere. There's one purple rubber ducky in that sea of yellow rubber ducks. When you look at that pool, who do you see? What do you see? Do you see all the yellow ducks or do you see the purple duck? Right? The purple duck stands out. That's who you're talking to. One, you're not talking to the pelican. You're not talking to the yellow ducks. You're not talking to the, what other birds are in the pond? The robins, they're eating something different, right? It's only the purple duck. That's how specific we want to get. But this is where I was like, but that's so limiting, but it's not.
Because the other ones come in.
And the process that resonates with those people is the same. So instead of, well, like I talked about, I was doing everything and nothing. Now I do one thing and I serve everyone, which I think as a like leaning into that feminine energy a little bit, the flow, the wanting to be able to like adapt and be creative and like all this, that idea for me, I couldn't connect the strategy with like the feminine because I was like, well, I can't do that then. It's not going to be individualized. It's not going to work but I was wrong. I was just wrong. And it's made, now when people come in and they ask me what I do, it's simple and clear and they know right away. And the people that are showing up are the ones that they heard the message because it's for them and then they show up. So then everything is simple. So yeah. But yes, all of these questions, I couldn't answer them either. Sales process, I didn't have one. And how does your business grow? So think about this, because most of us, I think, at least, well, I'll speak for myself. When I stepped away from teaching, it was because the lifestyle of that grind did not work for me. And yet here I am as an entrepreneur. Is that the lifestyle that I'm leading myself towards because I have to do everything? Okay, so how does your business grow? How does it grow beyond you? I also couldn't answer that, but I can now. This is this thing of like when we're the entrepreneur, the solopreneur, we have to do it all by ourselves. And we don't. So is it okay if I stop sharing my screen? Everybody got those? Okay. So, you guys, it's similar. Like I've been saying these things, but I feel like probably most of you have had these experiences before. I think once you become like this entrepreneur, you step into kind of running your own business, you meet lots of other consultants, right? And you like this, like we have the opportunity to connect and learn from lots of different people and see what they're doing. And there's 3 things that over the years, through all the different people I've connected with, 3 things that we all have in common. And that is, we want to help people. We want financial freedom. And we feel this like soul calling, that this is a divine or like soul purpose. This is my mission. This is my work that I'm supposed to do in this lifetime. And this is my gift that I'm going to share with the world. And I think that these are things that we have in common as these entrepreneurs that kind of go forth into this world on our own. And it wasn't until I posted that thing and got all these messages from people that I was like, wow, there's actually a lot more that we have in common. A lot of us are feeling very overwhelmed in the social media realm of like, how do I get myself out there? I have to do the posts, I have to do the reels, I have to do the videos, I have to have the lead magnets, like, right? And how many of us ever got any kind of training on doing any of that, right? That wasn't our expertise for most of us when we stepped into this, because we are here to help people. That's our expertise, right? Or we also feel like I said, pretty alone, like we have to do it all by ourselves. And as the entrepreneur, we do all of it, right? Because this is our business and we're just starting. We don't necessarily have the financial means to hire a marketing person and a social media coordinator and all of these things. Also this feeling of like, a lot of people told me, they're like, yeah, I don't know what to do next, right? There's no like sequence of things that you kind of follow the steps and you get this like proven result. That there's sort of this like wondering of like, well, what is next, right? That we have a lot of these things in common too. The parts that are hard, that nobody gave us the roadmap for when we started. And I didn't really realize that there were so many other people doing this work that were feeling as stuck as I was last winter, that were like sitting at their computer crying. I was like, maybe that's not everybody here, but I didn't know what to do. And I didn't understand that there are so many that were also feeling unseen, feeling undervalued, feeling like they just couldn't get their message out. They know they can help, but how, right? And it was funny that this, like, it was just this, well, I'm not going to be on Facebook and Instagram for a while, so see you later. And then everyone was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. But I don't know if I can do it, because then how am I going to get seen? And how am I going to make connections? And how am I going to get clients? So, sorry, I just have some notes here that I'm flipping through as I ramble on. I also felt that, like, I think I mentioned this before, that the seeing all of the things that everyone else was doing just continued to kind of build this feeling of lack in me. And worthiness, as Julie, as we know, worthiness has been a piece that I've worked on with myself for a long time. And every time I pulled up social media, I would be like, oh, she's doing that. And oh, this is something I should be doing. And oh, that's not it. I got to figure that out. Meanwhile, on LinkedIn, I was generating leads, getting comments, people messaging me directly. Like, so I was like, why am I staying in this space? Why am I here right now? Like, this is not serving me. So I just decided to pull back, and I now am virtually, I still post a couple things here and there on my Guts Instagram page. But basically I just have poured myself into LinkedIn, where I create content. I create value daily, sometimes multiple times a day, value. And when we create value, we receive value, right? It's that's like an energetic exchange, monetary exchange, whatever you want to call it. It's also, the algorithms on LinkedIn are very different. So LinkedIn doesn't focus on likes. It focuses on engagement. So where on Facebook and Instagram, I'd pull it up and be like, how many likes did I get? And then I didn't get any, so I'd feel like crap. Then I go to LinkedIn and people are engaging in my content, right? They're engaging. It's not, and really the likes don't that make much of a difference. In terms of how the algorithms work, if I get likes, cool. but really my goal is to generate connection and content and value. So those were a couple things that I figured out had been different. And the whole like worthiness piece underneath, because I know when I'm comparing myself on to people on like, that's also my shit that I got to work through. I don't need to compare myself, but I was in this engine of like reinforcing that constant back talk in my head of, oh, what's this person doing? Oh, what's this person doing? So I had to set a boundary for myself and just say that I know this is something I'm working on, but being in this space isn't helping me with that. So I pulled out and I focused instead on creating value, in creating content, and that I am worthy to do that, right? So that was a big piece too for that mindset shift for me of, no, I'm not going to stay in like the lackey space. I'm going to shift and just build that engine. And that one works a little bit quite differently. So what else? The LinkedIn, the algorithms are different. You also on LinkedIn, you guys. So I spent 8 years on Instagram trying to grow my following, and I have 580 followers in 8 years. Like what the, and I don't even, it just makes me feel icky. On LinkedIn, I started. So the first time my brother was like, Di, try LinkedIn. And I told you, like, I dipped my toe in. I got about 400 followers in a couple of months. I went from like 200 to 400. From March until now, I'm almost at 4,000 followers. So I generated over 3,000 followers in however many months that is, 5-6 months. And you can strategically target and invite people that you strategically target into your network every single week. Every single week, you can invite 100 people into your space. So my LinkedIn, when I started with my feed, it was all over the place. I was doing doTERRA back in the day. So there was lots of like network marketing stuff. There was lots of political stuff. There was lots, and that's probably why I was like, ooh, I don't really like this space anymore. Now everything on my feed is university athletes, coaches, international athletes, sport programs, and it just takes time but you create that. And it's easy if you're consistent. So if your field is, Amanda, like financial stuff, right? You're looking at families, you're looking at like you're when you search people to invite them, you can actually be specific in like financial stuff or, family planning or whatever it is. And you just invite them in and then they get to decide. But and then it grows exponentially because as your numbers grow, more people see your stuff, they organically start to follow you. And it's an engine that just starts to work. And I've never experienced anything like that on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, I just laugh now. And I'm like 8 years for 580 followers. Like what the heck? Right. And it's literally so easy. The other thing, you guys, with LinkedIn is that it's been fun because I'm in a space where I got really clear on who I was talking to. And now I'm in a space where, like I said, I give them valuable information every day. And that feels good. LinkedIn also doesn't really love, like they want to keep people in LinkedIn. So when you post an extraneous link to go to your sales page or to go to this or to go to that, they don't put as much oomph behind it, like in the back end. So I don't even post sales in my feed. I don't sell in my feed. I only offer value. I only tell stories that resonate with people. And that feels so good, right? Then it's messages, literally, you guys, like my brother told me this would happen. And I didn't really believe him because everything was sucking. But he said, Di, people will message you this. I can't believe it. It sounds like you're in my head. Feels like you're in my head right now, word for word. I've had that message probably 4 times. Or your content really resonates with me. I'd love to have a chat. They message me because what I'm saying resonates with them. And every single one of us has a story that resonates with that purple duck. That's who you're talking to. And when you speak to them and you know what they're going through because you've been there, they're just like, oh, I need to talk to that person, because they get it. They've been through it. And now, and they know, they told me how I can solve my problem. I need to talk to them. Okay. So whether it's one-on-one coaching, whether you have a product, an offer, if they don't understand that you understand, if you can't demonstrate empathy, then they won't read they won't call you. They won't message you. That's where I love this content, this platform. It's not about pictures. It's not about videos. It's what value can you provide and how can you connect with people? And I think that we all love that part of our work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like oh, that feels so good when you know that you've helped someone. So I want to draw you a little picture right now to give you some more of like the kind of what I had to do, a little bit more behind the strategy. Hold on here. What am I doing? Sure. Okay. Can you see my whiteboard? Okay. So I talked about when we start in this business, there's our little door. We decide that we want to be an entrepreneur. We step into the online world. We open the door and we go forth bravely and uncertainly, and certainly maybe. But we just like literally, we just decide and we start, and we don't know all the other stuff, most of us anyway. Okay. And then we realize that there are walls to this house, right? And the walls are, when we look at the outside of a house, you might see like 3 walls and you're like, okay, cool. Like there's the space I'm venturing into. But really, when you get in there, there's thousands of walls, and they're not barriers, but they're spaces. So over here we have Facebook, and then over here we have Instagram, and over here we have funnels, and then we have websites, and we have networking groups, and and it's like you open the door and then you're like, okay, well, where do I go first? Or do I do all of them? Do I go into all these rooms? Okay, so that's what we see when we open, and we're like, oh, actually, there's lots of spaces that I could go in here now that I'm inside this doorway. Okay, then we have our windows, and I think that this is, again, something we've probably all done. We have our work that we do so that we can continue to spread this message. So that's our personal work. It's the window to the soul, or whatever you want to call it, like seeing inside. It's a deeper level within ourselves so that we clear out the old stories, the blocks, whatever it is that's keeping us from maybe stepping through that next step, right? So that's a piece of this work for us, for sure. And then, as you can tell, I'm not the artist in the group, but here's my little house. And this beautiful little apex up here, this is the goal. This is the feeling we want in our business. This is the way we want to help people. This is the idea, the grand design. It's way up at the top of the house. That's the peak for us, right? What we're working towards. And a lot of us, even before we open the door, we have that in mind, right? We know what we want to do. And then we open the door and we get inside, and there's all the things. But when you build a house in the real world, not on my whiteboard, what do you build first? The foundation. I saw your mouth moving. Okay, so there we have our foundation. That has to come first. And this is like what holds everything up, right? If we have a foundation that has a bunch of cracks in it, what happens to the house? Right? The cracks go all the way up. And I should make these red. They're gonna prevent us from getting to that peak, right? And probably we talk about this I talk about this in my nutrition business, right? We need nutritional foundations so we can do all the things. But more so even, what do you have to do before you can build the foundation? I saw your mouth, Christina, but I didn't know.
I'm muted. I'm talking to myself apparently. I was gonna say you have to have a plan.
There's a plan, yeah, for what the house will look like, but even under the foundation, like to pour the foundation in the ground, what has to have happened first?
Dig the hole.
You dig the freaking hole. Okay. And this is where I had this really cool conversation with the lady last week, and she's like, okay, but I don't like being down there like this. So this is the digging, right? Clearing out all the digging under the foundation. What's my niche? What's my message? What is my story? What problem do I solve? Who is my ideal client? This is in the hole. And that's what establishes the foundation that we build the house on. Okay. So I've had a solid foundation in my business for a long time, right? I got the products, I got the formulas, I know how to help people, I've got the training, I've got all that, but I didn't know how to talk about any of it. I didn't know how to talk to the purple duck that needed my help, that would be like, oh my gosh, she's inside my head. This is the work that we actually need to do. And for years, people are telling me that, well, you need to niche down. Oh, you need Facebook ads, and this is the strategy for that. And you need funnels, and this is the strategy for that. And but none of that would have worked for me because I didn't know how to talk about it. I can put the ad, I could set up all the Facebook ads I want, but I didn't have the language and the clarity of my message. Nobody would have bought the ad anyway. Okay, it's under here. And this lady, she said to me, she's like, but I don't want to spend time down there because that's not who I am anymore. Okay, the digging that you do, this is where you get clear on the problem that you solve because it was a problem that you faced. You are your niche. And Julie, you're probably like, I know someone else who said that before because we were in the same program where that was said before, but it didn't really make sense to me. And I've figured out over the years that there were a lot of different parts of me that could have been my niche. It could have been me with ulcerative colitis. It could have been me as a struggling, like dealing with confidence when I was running a sport program. It could have been me as a struggling entrepreneur. It could have been, like there's lots of different, so we have to dig, we have to figure that out. What is the problem that I solve? What have I gone through that is this gift that I get to share with the world? You are your niche. You have to dig to figure out what part of you that is. And then how you talk about it and how you tell the story. Okay. The only thing that I changed between the winter and now is this. I spent time in the digging. I got a workbook. I got a notebook. I wrote stuff out, which is not where I thought I needed to be spending my time. I thought I needed to be spending my time finding out which funnel I needed to use, writing like Facebook ads, creating pictures and videos. You can do all of that, and all of that will work when you have the clarity in your message. Okay. So I'm going to take my lovely picture away again. Yeah, this idea that we are our niche, and without doing that digging, our message is just jumbled. Like when you guys, like I know a little bit about each of you, so I know the wonderful work that you do, but can you make that one sentence? I help people blah by blah. That's it. And to do that, you have to get pretty specific and like, well, who is it that I help? Right? What is their problem? I forget what the stat is now with people's actually attention span of like how long they'll listen to something before they're gone. So it's like, yeah, so it's like, yeah, you don't have time to, my thing was to be like, well, what do you do? Well, and they're gone. Okay. That's like, so you actually have to practice that. Like you have to actually like get clear and write it out and practice and rehearse it. So someone says that to you, you're like, oh, I do this. Oh, cool. Okay. Without that digging work, we just don't have the language, like the words, the simple words, one word, not a sentence that's six or whatever, however many words long. That it just has to be short. It has to be super clear and way simpler than we think it has to be, because we know they have a problem, but sometimes they don't even know they have the problem. So I took an example of a coach I was working with that was going to help people with mindset. He's like, well, they have mindset problems. And I was like, okay, you're right. They probably do, but they don't care that they have mindset problems. They may not even know they have mindset problems. They know that they're super unhappy, that they don't like getting out of bed in the morning, that they can't look at their spouse in the eye because they feel ashamed or guilty or whatever. That's what they know. That's what you have to talk to them about. You don't need to tell them they have mindset issues, right? And he was like, oh. So like going back to all, like this is literally all I've done, you guys, on LinkedIn. This is what I've done every day, sometimes multiple times a day. I create content that speaks to people that I target, that I bring into my network with the language that I pulled out of my depths, because I know how they're struggling because I was there. Okay. And the questions that I had to ask myself before I was ready to look at doing any of that was really just like, Diane, is your business working? No, it wasn't. Okay, it wasn't. Am I getting clients? Are you getting clients, Diane? I'd be like, I'd try to justify it. I'd be like, well, yes, she came in, and then sometimes I had a couple discovery calls this week, but no, they weren't coming in. Okay. Was I satisfied with my income as a solopreneur? No. Was it giving my family what I needed? No. When someone came to me and said, well, so how does this work? Okay, so if someone came to you and asked you this, can you tell them in 3 to 5 steps? How does this work? Well, we do this, 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 and this. Oh, okay. Or is it like a big run on, well, we're going to go through this, and we're going to go through this, and they're gone. Okay, so it's like, again, that kind of, I think the barrier that we face sometimes in this like entrepreneur, and those of us that are in these really heart-led and sort of feminine energy businesses, is like, well, it's not going to be the same for everyone. Well, no, it's not. You're right. But the process can be the same. It can look the same. So they know what's going on. And then you get to like work within that. And it's way easier for you too, because you're not constantly creating new things. Okay. The other thing my brother told me that's been really funny the last couple of weeks has started to shift to is he's like, you will not believe the stuff that pops up, Diane, when you do this work. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'd be happy if a client popped up. That'd be great. So a couple examples for you. Early in July, an NCAA Div 1 hockey coach messaged me. And because of schedule conflicts, we'd book something and then one of us wouldn't be able to do it. We booked something and one of us wouldn't be. And that happened for a month. She chased me for a month and a half. Okay. I'd never thought an NCAA coach Div 1 would reach out to me. Never mind chase me for a month and a half to make sure we had a conversation. Okay. The number 1 youth sport nutrition product globally is asking me to write content for them. That was not part of my agenda when I started doing this. It was only, please, can I get a client? Please, can I have some clients? You won't believe what pops up. There's opportunities out there that you can't even imagine. But it's because you're telling a story and it resonates with people. And they'll be like, I have to talk to her. She will help me. And they will know that before they even get on the phone with you. This is the part 2, right? We build trust, we build empathy. People trust even before they've spoken to us that we know what their struggle is and we can help them. And that's what you can create in LinkedIn, because you're so able to bring these people. You can bring them into your group. Yeah, Dina.
I'm so sorry to interrupt thoughts, but I'm wondering if I can ask a quick question.
For sure.
Hopefully it's a quick question. What I'm struggling with LinkedIn is because it's more of a professional venue in the sense that, professionals are coming in and out. A lot of them won't say, I live with chronic pain. And so I'm not sure how I should be targeting people. Like I first of all, I love your messaging. I gravitated towards you because of the delivery and the message, obviously. So it was both. Do I create content that resonates with the pain experience in the hopes that professionals are going to reach out? Or do I focus on those who also do like I do, to be able to sort of filter people through that way? I'm stuck that way.
I think you want to help people that are struggling with chronic pain,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that you could, I think that you focus on the people that are struggling.
Okay. Because I think that's my natural instinct, but I wasn't sure. I would assume they would come out of the woodwork if the messaging is right. You know, if they're
Can
seeking.
I help you with that for a second? Just like one other, because you talked about like the rubber ducky pond, and like you want to focus on A. A is like the person that's struggling with chronic pain.
Right.
B and C will follow in. Like the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
professionals will come.
Yeah.
You know, the other people, like other people with other health complications, like they'll follow in.
Right. Okay.
But talking about like what problem do you solve?
Right.
And then building the experience based on that, like,
Yeah.
because I was like you, where I was like, but I have all of this,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm speaking to everybody,
Right.
and in fact, I'm speaking to nobody.
Absolutely. And you're right. Funny enough, I do that on all the other platforms, but on LinkedIn, for some reason, I had it in my head. I'm like, oh gosh, is this, you know, it's more of a professional platform. Do I need to change things up? But no, stay true. I love it. I'll stay the course.
It's also very interesting that we only typically show the professional side of ourselves on LinkedIn. So you
Right.
have no idea what they're struggling with.
Right. True.
Right? So it could be
That's the
like
thing.
the CEO of such and such company, and he's professional and doing this and this, but he
Yeah.
actually struggles every single day.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Then I will stay the course. Thank
The
you.
other thing too, Julie mentioned like the problem that you solve
Mm-hmm.
in your content, focus on their problem.
Right.
Only, not what you solve,
Right.
just what their problem is, because that's where you create empathy.
Yeah.
They will read that and be like, that's where they come to me and they say, it feels like you're in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you're saying is a problem that they have.
Okay.
In that first moment, they don't care if you can solve their problem. They connect with, she knows my problem.
Right.
She understands my problem.
Okay.
Okay. I think one of the things too is we love, because when we're giving content, we love to give advice. We love to solve problems. We love to tell people what to do because we know that it will help them.
Mm-hmm.
But the connection happens when they understand that you understand how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first piece that has to come. Then when they connect with you and they say, oh my gosh, your post was just like, you were inside my head. Can we have a talk?
Mm-hmm.
And you know that they want your solution.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was something that I was like, oh, well, you do this. These are the things that you know to do, and I know to do them. And this is, they don't care about that yet. They just care about how they feel. So that's where you want to connect with them.
And I think you're right, because every example I've had of people coming into my world that have stayed are those we've had great conversations with. Right. Okay. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So I want to respect your guys' time, and I'll kind of close off in here a little bit. So I think what I want you to get out of this is that I found success in LinkedIn, and there are specific things that happen on LinkedIn that other platform doesn't happen on other platforms. I did like to the sort of like the more professional piece, but I think it also depends how you're targeting your market or your audience, because I know some people that say that they don't like their LinkedIn feed at all. And then I'm like, well, you can actually create this, you can create who you want in it, right? It takes a bit of time for that to shift, but my feed now is entirely focused in the people that I want to connect with every day. So, but it doesn't matter what platform. Ultimately, I believe that all of these strategies will work, the funnels and the websites and the ads, and they'll all work. You get to find the one that works for you. But if you haven't done the digging to build the foundation of the language and the way that you're going to connect with people, none of it will work. And that's what I was doing. I'm everywhere, doing everything, doing nothing, because nobody heard me. And now they hear me all the time. And it's also pretty fun. Like, I love writing content. I love it. So that's also part of the reason it works for me, because it gets me to be a creator, and that's fun for me. Even after telling myself for a lot of years that I wasn't creative, you know, you have to bust all that crap out. So I would just really like encourage you to keep exploring this stuff in whatever way, like in your business, because I know there's lots of different businesses that are here. If you want, I'm happy to share with you. I put together a document that I actually had to go through. So I created this as I was working through things to help you get really clear on your niche in a way that brings the strategy piece where I was like, "Ugh, bleh, don't like it," to the flowy feminine aspect of my business, which was soul and heartfelt and deeper, right? To bring those two together, because I never, that was my struggle, was like, I don't want to be in the box. I want to have flexibility and creativity in my work. And this bridges that. So if you want that little worksheet, I can send it to you. And just remember that, like, if you're doing this work, you don't have to do it by yourself. I think that's one of the hardest things when we open that door to our online business and we're in there all alone, but you're not all alone. And I have a team of these soul and heart-led entrepreneurs and consultants starting September 1st. We're going to walk through all of this together, creating your niche, refining it, getting super clear on the problem, how you help them, how you generate leads, how you generate content daily without getting burnt out, how you get this organic message that just brings people into your space. And I would never have believed that until I experienced it, because for 8 or 12 years, that had never happened to me before. And even that, those questions of like, what is your sales process, right? What 4 things are people going to get from you that you can roll off your tongue in 30 seconds and they know exactly how you're going to help them? That kind of stuff. And then also how to scale your business, because you don't want to burn out through this. You picked this so that you could live the life that you want with freedom and all of that. And if you continue to try to do everything, and then at some point you're going to hit a spot where you're like, I can't grow anymore. I can't do anymore. How you can actually move beyond that, which is where I'm at now in 8 months. Okay, so it's all totally doable. And we have this team starting on September 1st. We're going to walk through that together. So if you want to learn about that, I can share that with you. I just really want to say thanks for coming and allowing me to share this with you, because it blew me away how many messages and people were like, oh, I can't, I'm struggling with that, or I can't figure this out, or it's really hard. And like, don't give up. Don't give up on your work. The world needs your work. The world needs your work. And just know, like, if you ever want to chat, the door is open. But yeah, I think,
Thank
look
you
at all the
so
comments
much.
that I never saw.
Oh, that's okay. Some of them were just, I gotta go. I apologize. Thank you so much, Diane.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope it's a little
Really.
bit helpful. And yeah,
Hugely.
just always open to chat with whatever, if I can assist.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. And really nice to meet everybody too. But I gotta go. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
bye. See you later, Deanna.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
This has been super helpful, Diane. I honestly can tell you that everything that you said about social media and like Facebook and Instagram, I have been like feeling so overwhelmed and so burnt out by just trying to create and, get the messaging out there, that it's not enjoyable for me at all.
And I feel like when it's not enjoyable, then that reflects into what we're trying to share too, right? Because we're just not in that like magnetic space of excitement about what it is that we're doing. So I would say, like, if it's yucky, trust your gut on that. And there are other ways, like the financial space on LinkedIn, I think would be really cool. Because there's everybody on there, right? You'll have people that are just starting out. They don't have any money. They don't have anything to do. They don't know anything about the investments or any of that stuff. And you got like big gunners, like CEOs and stuff on there too. It'd be a cool space. But yeah, it's all like all about what they are struggling with. And maybe you can connect with them on that level.
Well, I think that's great to just a different perspective to focus on, because I always stayed away from LinkedIn because it is too professional, in my opinion, because I'm like the finances with flair, right? I am I am different than the industry. And I think I always put myself as less than. It's just a whole mental thing that I've had, in knowing that thinking that I didn't belong in that space. And I've done a lot of work in knowing that I do belong in that space, because there's a lot of people that don't even want to step into the financial world with an advisor, with a coach, because they hate the way they feel doing it, or they hate the way they're talked down to.
Yes.
And just finding those people that that purple duck, right?
Yeah. And
So-
I mean, so if I saw a financial advisor share something about how it feels to talk about money when you don't have money, or when you don't know anything about it, like that would be a financial advisor that I would be like, oh, I'm not going to feel like crap when I'm sitting in the chair talking to them about things that I don't understand. So you,
Right.
and know like 100% you are steps ahead of other people on that space, on and anywhere. Even though sometimes we feel like, well, I don't know if I have everything. You are ahead of people, and they will be the ones that are like, oh, she's just one step ahead of me. She's who I need to talk to. Right. So if you have a
Awesome.
story through your experience, share it. Because that's where people will be like, oh, she's not going to make me feel like crap. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think getting that vulnerable is just, that's tough for me, because sharing all of that has been, especially in the financial world, is always like, oh, well, we don't, or where it came from, my parents, right? We don't talk about that. That's none of your business. No one should know that. Right. So I think that just, again, making that small little change and doing the digging, that really hits me.
It's the digging. Yeah.
So
I
thank you.
love the idea of carrying a journal around and just talking about where you've been, because I think that that's yucky. I don't like talking about where I've been because I've gone through it. Like, we just want to move forward, especially in business. But I like even my own business coach has like pulled out her journal and been like, does this sound like something that you would be? And like, she'll read through the problems that she had during a certain amount of time. And like, that's something that I like, that piece of just digging into the past, because we have all been through it. We got through it, and there's lots of people that aren't there yet.
And the, like, again, that you have a story that will resonate with someone, that we think we're alone in those moments, but really we're not. We just don't know the people that are dealing with the same things and they feel the same way. But the only way to connect with them is to share it. And I totally know what you mean, Amanda, about that piece of like, well, I'm a financial person, so I never went through financial struggles. Like, that's not okay to admit that. But like, I'm similar. Like, I do holistic health, and yet I chose a super, super invasive surgery. I chose it. So how do I talk to people about healing when I went this way? And I should, like, I get it. But that's the potency, the power, the connective piece where you demonstrate that empathy and understanding. That's where that is. Yeah.
Cool.
So dig. Like that said, oh my gosh, the Seven Dwarves just popped into my head. Dig, the little song.
What pops into my head is dig a tunnel, dig a tunnel. Do it. You have kids when.
Yeah, right? Yeah, everything through the lens of cartoons. Yeah, so anyway, I'm glad that it resonated with you. Amanda, thanks for coming.
Well, thank you. I got to run,
Yeah.
but have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you again.
You're welcome. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
thanks, Diane. I'm gonna have a little bit of work to do myself.
I have an Akashic reading with Samantha at 11. So
Oh, really? She said she was going to be on this call, and then she's like, I have a reading at 10:30, and I feel like I need to just like center and clear and all that. I was like, oh yeah, so she's one who's getting the recording. It's funny. Have you met her yet? She's amazing.
I did like a personal one. Oh, I don't know. I didn't even tell you all about that stuff.
We'll have to talk about that one day. That's
but it was crazy, some of the stuff that came out of it. But that was a personal one. This is more of a business one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's like, let's do your business Akashic reading. I was like, okay.
Oh, fun. I didn't know there was such a thing. See, there's so many things.
I know. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, friend. I feel like everything that you said was me last winter. just sitting at my computer going,
I know.
want to.
It can be super, like I look forward to when I put stuff up now, like it's exciting and fun. And that's a good vibe to be in for sure.
Yeah. And like, I feel like one last thing, I feel like being creative, I was getting to a point where I was like, I'm being creative, but nothing's coming out after it. Like nothing comes from it. What I get a few likes or somebody to say how, oh, you're so inspiring. And I'm like, I don't even want to hear that word anymore. You know?
Yeah.
I want to reach people that actually want help, not the ones that choose to stay stuck, you know?
And I bet there's a way that you can, like you said, you're unleashable. Within that, there is something that you can be super specific on, and it will still allow you to serve a broad range of people, but your messaging around how you communicate that, I think, will be really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had to change the niche from like, what problem do you solve? Because that's how I changed it around, because niche, I don't know.
The word. Yeah.
Maybe let's figure that piece out.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyways, okay. Thank you, friend.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Diane.
Thanks for
Bye.
coming, Christina. Bye.